In this video, I'll be taking on the question, how hard is it to get into the music industry? It's Tobey here from jazzmental.com. Thanks for joining me again for another one of my tutorials. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the music industry, one which I've been in for many years. And also I've got 7 things that you're going to want to know that'll make it much easier for you to get into the music industry and succeed. Let's get started. All right, so the first thing I want to say about getting into the music industry is technically it's not that hard. Basically, it works like this. Go to Vistaprint, get a business card, put your name on it, and put something on it that says music producer. Second thing, go to GoDaddy, get a domain name called topmusicagent.com, and get a website there and throw that up, get a 1-800 number, and then put a contact form on your website and then start making some phone calls. Okay, so that sounds super easy. Yes, it is. Now you're in the music industry, but now you really want to be successful at it. So that's what the rest of this video is about. And you really want to stick around to hear all 7 points because, again, I've been doing this and mentoring people for a long time, and this is really going to be helpful. So hang in there. Let's start with number 1. First thing is, first and foremost, it's really a mindset. So try not to think that you're not good enough. Now, I've seen all types of people come and go in the music industry, and I've walked into some clubs and some bars and heard some pretty questionable music. And no judgment, I'm just saying it doesn't seem to matter what level of talent you are. What does matter is that you're probably a little bit different than everybody else. So it's really not about the level of playing or the level of knowledge that you have, although that goes a long way. It's really about an intrinsic and internal mindset that says, yes, I can do this, and whatever I focus on is going to turn into something. Let's move on to number 2. So technology is amazing. In the old days, and yes, I'm on in years a little bit, but that just gives me lots of world experience. Back when I first started music, you had to go into a recording studio and pay $300 an hour, and we were recording on tape, which doesn't really exist anymore, and you don't actually even need a music studio anymore. There is great prosumer gear that you can get and start making some recordings. Now, if you're a producer, get some people in to make some recordings, or do whatever you can to get some music together so that you can showcase your talents. Now, I just happen to have another video that talks about home recording. I'm going to post a link up here. You can go check that one out. Let's move on to number 3. Get some musical experiences under your belt. Now, okay, you don't really need Sony or Universal or Warner or any of the big record labels to start getting some musical experience. What you really need is to get out on the road. And you used to need a tour bus for that. Now you can just jump in your car and go do something. And get yourself involved and get some gigs or produce some gigs and just get some road stories under your belt. That's really going to help you solidify the fact that you feel like you've arrived in the music business. Because if you just sit at home and make music and think about it all day, nothing's really going to happen. You kind of have to get out into the world and make something happen. For example, I can tell you 1,000 gig stories. One of my favorites is when I'm on tour in Japan and I'm just about to go into this concert hall and perform, and my interpreter slams the car door on my hand. And I actually play the gig because I knew my hand wasn't broken, but it blew up like a balloon while I'm playing, and it wasn't nearly my best performance. And then afterwards, I went to the hospital. And if you really want to see somebody grovel at your feet, that's exactly what happened. This interpreter basically falls down and starts crying at my feet. And I'm not sure whether you want to experience that or not, but it certainly makes an interesting road story. So that's what I mean. Just get out into the world and start making things happen. Whatever you focus on tends to expand. Okay, number 4. Get some digital marketing training. The entire music industry has changed. So if you want to be more successful, you're going to need to understand the online world because everybody gets their music online these days. And what does that mean? It means learning more about your own website, about streaming channels, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, starting a Facebook page, doing some online concerts. In fact, just this past Christmas, I did an online concert and I had a few hundred people attend. Now, I'm not saying that's a huge audience, but it goes a long way to building your audience, which is very helpful in the music industry. Literally, just the concept of having an audience. It's a powerful thing. So again, if you really don't understand the online world, it's a good idea to take a little digital marketing course. I just happen to have one. It's absolutely free to take. I'm going to post a link below and you can go check that out. It's a 5-module course and it'll help you understand digital marketing from A to Z. All right, number 5, if you really want to produce music and you want to become a producer, get some recording credits under your belt. It's important to actually produce something. You can get some experience and some references because eventually what you want to happen is people to start paying you for your talents. That's what it means to be in the music industry, that you're actually getting paid. And without experience, it's a very hard thing to do that. You can't just get some premier band to go, hey, you're my producer and let's go into the studio and make something happen. You really need to have done that several times before you can actually get people to pay you real money to do it. But the experience will help you and that'll go a long way. All right, number 6. If you want to start writing music for television and movies, that whole industry has absolutely exploded. Now, a lot of it is based on canned or pre-canned music, or library music as they call it, which they basically say, oh, I need something for a horror film. Let's just go into the library and grab a bunch of clips and throw that in. So a lot of music is still original. And if you want to break into that industry, I can tell you that it's really about networking. So you basically want to find a movie house or something and get some references and maybe go side gig with somebody, take some scoring from them and do it and help them out. And that way you can get some references to start getting your own work. But again, it's really this whole network that you need to be involved in. And I know lots of people who write music for those things. And again, how did they break into it? Well, number 1, they obviously write great music, but number 2 is it's all about who you know and not necessarily totally about what you know. All right, so here's number 7, and I think 7 is the most important one. And if you really want to jump the queue and get into it quickly and not make a lot of mistakes that the others are making, and that is get some training and or some mentoring. And that means finding courses or getting some specific mentorship and training in the music business or some area of the music business that is specific, that you can learn. Because an investment in yourself, of course, is the best investment you can make, but you still have to go the extra mile to find that person or that training that really makes sense for you. And I don't think you can find this at a college or a university. I don't think you can learn this stuff from teachers. You need to learn it from practitioners or people who are actually in the industry performing and practicing their craft. I can tell you that training is not something that a lot of people think of when it comes to the music industry. But there is a lot of things available. There's online trainings and obviously there are master classes and things that you can do. But you are going to have to invest in yourself, and it does take a little bit of time to do that, but well worth the investment because you need that advice. Otherwise, you're just going to be doing things by trial and error. And again, I've always said trial and error is like the worst method because it takes really long and you don't necessarily know the mistakes that you're making, so you keep making them over and over again. So again, get some mentoring, get some training underneath your belt, and that'll give you a really good head start. All right, so the last thought that I have is not included in our 7, but it's really a mindset thing. And I'm going to answer the question once again. Is it hard to get into the music industry? And my answer to that is it's neither easy nor hard. It's just familiar and unfamiliar. And how do you make it more familiar? And my answer is do all of those 7 things. Take some action. Rubber hits the road. Get into it. Get out there and make things happen. And what happens is the universe tends to respond with more situations and circumstances and people and just things start happening. And then you have to be awake enough to see those opportunities. But the opportunities are there. They just don't appear if you're not ready for them. And that's what it means by making things more familiar. It's not hard to get into the music industry. It's just for most people very unfamiliar, which is probably why you're asking yourself that question in the first place. All right, so if you need any more help or you have a specific question about the music industry, and if you want to tell me your experience in the music industry, we have a whole comment section below. It's a new video. Well, depending on when you're seeing it, but it's new for me right now, and there's no comments on that. If you want to make a comment and a question, I would really appreciate that. And I promise you that whatever you ask, I will either A, respond to that question in the comments, or B, make a whole video about that specific subject. I'm pretty sure I can be a great resource for you. All you have to do is ask. Thanks for your time. Well, thanks for hanging out with me. I really appreciate it. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We're making 5 videos a week, just like this one, on various aspects of music and the music business. So I'd really appreciate it if you could come back and join me another time. Take care.